What are things that are positive habits, good habits, that most millionaires have, that most millionaires show, right? They have these different habits that you could employ in your own life and could allow you to become a millionaire, right? Could allow you to get over some of those limiting ideas that we looked at just a moment ago. So first thing about millionaires, they are avid readers. I talked about Bill Gates and the number of books that he reads earlier, right? But President Harry Truman once said that not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers, right? One of the reasons that millionaires become millionaires is because of their constant desire to learn. You have to learn, right? You have to learn and get better in your field, at your craft, at different things that are going to help you to build wealth over the long term. Right? To them, leadership books and biographies are much more important than the latest reality show or who got kicked off the island, right? When they have free time, they use it wisely by reading, okay? So becoming an avid reader can really, really help you in your press to become wealthy over the long term. Then they understand delayed gratification. They understand taking some risks in the short term, right? But having a long-term viewpoint. Again, the wealthy have long-term viewpoints. They look at things through a long lens, right? They're not just looking at today. They delay gratification today so that they can have things tomorrow, right? They know that if I sacrifice today, then I won't have to sacrifice tomorrow and I'll have things tomorrow that I can enjoy. But if I don't sacrifice today, then I am not going to have anything tomorrow. And when I don't have anything tomorrow, I'm going to have to sacrifice even more. Okay, so millionaires spend most of their lives sacrificing temporarily for the pleasures that may be available to them for long-term success. They have no problem buying an older used car, living in a modest neighborhood, and wearing inexpensive clothes. They don't care about keeping up with the Joneses, okay? These decisions allow them to do things like save for retirement and college, build up a large down payment for their dream home, and they realize that instant gratification is fun, but delayed gratification is much better because it will allow you to get to the places that you want to go, right? Becoming wealthy is not about doing the thing that is going to be the most fun or the most satisfying in the short term, right? Becoming wealthy means what path is going to be the most efficient in building wealth. What path is going to allow us to get to where we want to be. And the path of short-term gratification is not going to get us there. Instant gratification is not going to get us there. What is going to get us there is long-term delayed gratification. And becoming a millionaire is very, very possible if you can employ that. Millionaires spend most of their lives sacrificing, right? That was a line I said a moment ago. Millionaires spend most of their lives sacrificing. And if you're willing to do that, right, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy your life. It doesn't mean you can't do things that you enjoy and have fun. It just means that you are going to have to sacrifice along the way. You're going to have to do things that may not be the most fun or the most delightful use of your money in the short term, but you know that it's going to be most beneficial in the long term. Now, overall, millionaires also stay away from debt. One of the biggest myths out there is that the average millionaire uses debt as a tool, and that is just not true. Right? If they want something that they can't afford, they save and pay cash for it later. Again, delayed gratification. Car payments, student loans, same as cash financing plans. These just aren't a part of their vocabulary. That's why they win with money. They don't owe anything to the bank, so every dollar that they earn always stays with them to spend, save, and give over the long term. So if you don't have debt, then you have more options with your money. You are more financially free. You can do things that you want to do with your money and make choices over the long term. Debt is the biggest obstacle to building wealth, right? You need to avoid it like the plague, right? Debt is going to hold you back. It is going to strain your cash flow over the long term. And if you are having to constantly just pay out your cash flow to the creditors that you owe money to or the banks that you owe money to, and you're getting them richer and richer and you're getting nowhere because you're not making any traction. You don't have any cash flow to make traction with, right? But if you can be out of debt, then you can start taking those calculated risks we talked about earlier. You can start investing money. You can start doing things that are going to get you to where you want to be over the long term and not just sitting wherever you're at. Now, millionaires, even though it's boring, they also plan and they budget. Right? Your budget is your plan. And you can't build $1 million net worth without a plan, people, right? Success is no accident. It's not something that you can just sit down and just dilly-dally your way through and, oh, I'm successful, right? Like I said earlier, the middle class think that you can become rich or successful by luck. It's not the case. You have to have a plan. You have to work towards the long-term plan, right? Just like you build the house by starting with the foundation, you build wealth by starting with the budgeting basics. You start with a financial foundation that you build for yourself. And if you follow the financial action plan, I will walk you through the financial foundation. I will help you to build that financial foundation for yourself so that you can get to long-term wealth. Average millionaires have made a habit of budgeting every month. They know what's coming in and what's leaving their bank accounts. If you only remember one thing, it should be that budgeting and having a plan is the key to winning with money over the long term. And then what is one last habit of the rich? What is one last habit of the millionaires, right, that there are in the U.S. today? They're generous. They give, right? Sure, some rich people can be selfish. They can be jerks, right? They can only be looking out for themselves. But millionaires who live down the street from you that you don't even realize are wealthy are likely some of the most generous people that you could ever meet. We know this because Chris Hogan's book, Everyday Millionaires, that was published by Ramsey Solutions, talks about how millionaires give, how they are generous, how their philanthropy is actually very, very helpful to those around them. They work hard, they save, and respect the ability of others to do the same. Whether it's tithing at church, donating to a charity, or giving to friends and family, these people have generous spirits. They realize that the most important thing that you can do with wealth is to help others. Okay, so they are not just self-seeking. Again, this is a part of that abundance mindset, right? And thinking that there is plenty for everybody to have, that there is, the ability to gain more if you want to gain more. And people with abundance mindsets are far more likely to give, right? They continue to build their wealth over the long term because they have this abundance mindset, and they realize that they can't take it with them when they die. Instead of spending it all, though, on the latest toys, they choose to leave a legacy for the people who mean the most to them. Okay, so rich people are not the worst people on the planet like we may have thought, that limiting thought that middle-class people can have, right? But millionaires can be just like you and me, right? But they have some habits and they have some things that have allowed them to get to where they are over the long term. And again, these are broad statements that I've made here. These are the average millionaires, the most common millionaires. What are they like? And it's important to understand what they're like, and it's important to understand as somebody in the middle class or lower middle class or whatever, right? What is holding you back from becoming wealthy, from becoming rich over the long term? I know that you can take the steps to become what you've always wanted to become financially. You just have to take it into your own hands. You have to believe that you can. You have to have an abundance mindset, and you have to start working on some of these millionaire habits, and you have to start working on getting rid of some of those limiting thoughts that people in the middle class have about millionaires.